You're an NBA defender guarding one of the craftiest players in league history. You've studied the scouting report. You know his go-to move. He's going left, always left. Should be a piece of cake to stop, right? Wrong. Meet Manu Ginobili, the Argentinian magician who turned predictability into an art form and left defenders scratching their heads for 16 years. This isn't your typical basketball story. It's about a guy who took the most basic rule of the game, use both hands, and said, nah, I'm good with just the left, thanks.
I wanted to go left. If I couldn't go left, then I would make some sort of move to go back left.
Now you might be thinking, come on, how good could a one-handed player really be? Well, strap in, because we're about to show you how this southpaw savant not only survived in the NBA, but thrived, winning championships, Olympic gold, and the hearts of fans worldwide.
When Argentina won the Olympic gold medal in 2004 behind your leadership and Luis Scola's and others.
It's a story that'll make you question everything you thought you knew about basketball, and maybe even inspire you to try brushing your teeth with your non-dominant hand. So get ready to witness the impossible. Let's rewind to Bahia Blanca, Argentina, where little Manu is growing up as the youngest of 3 basketball-crazy brothers. Being the runt of the litter, Manu had to get creative to keep up. While his brothers used both hands equally, Manu started favoring his left. It wasn't some master plan, it just felt natural. Little did anyone know, this preference would become his ticket to NBA stardom. Fast forward to 1999. The NBA draft is winding down, and the San Antonio Spurs are on the clock with the very last pick. They've just won a championship, so they're not exactly sweating this choice. They grab a name out of left field, Manu Ginobili from Argentina.
With the 57th selection in the 1999 NBA draft, the San Antonio Spurs select Manu Ginobili from Argentina.
Most folks watching probably thought, who? Little did they know, they just struck gold. Manu doesn't come to the NBA right away. He spends a few more years in Europe honing his craft. By the time he joins the Spurs in 2002, he's got a full bag of tricks, almost all with that left hand. His style is different. He's all herky-jerky movements, crazy passes, and fearless drives to the hoop. Defenders don't know what to make of him. Now Manu could use his right hand. He wasn't some one-armed basketball player, but man, that left hand was something special. It's like he had a cheat code, but instead of entering it with a controller, he just used his left hand for everything. Manu's first few years in the NBA are a roller coaster. He's coming off the bench, but when he's on the court, things happen. Good things for the Spurs, scary things for opponents. He's zipping passes through impossible angles, Euro-stepping past defenders. He helped popularize that move, and finishing at the rim with, you guessed it, that lethal left hand. In 2005, Manu has his breakout year. He's named an all-star, and the Spurs win another championship. But here's the kicker. Manu's doing all this as a 6th man. That's right, he's not even starting games. He's coming in like a left-handed tornado, turning games upside down. Let's talk about that left hand for a sec. Most players, when they drive to the hoop, they've got options. Go right, go left, switch hands mid-air. Manu, he's going left. Everyone knows it. The defenders know it, the coaches know it, heck, even the hot dog vendors know it. But knowing it and stopping it? 2 very different things. See, Manu had this knack for making his left-hand preference look like a superpower. He'd contort his body in wild ways, finding angles that shouldn't exist, all to get that left hand to the rim. It was like watching a magician. You knew there was a trick, but darned if you could figure it out. But it wasn't just scoring. Manu's passing with that left hand was out of this world. He'd whip the ball around his back, through his legs, over his head, all with southpaw precision.
Happened, no, it was completely unexpected. I always looked at short, reachable goals. I'd never been, the type of kid that was just...
His teammates had to stay on their toes, because the ball could come flying their way at any moment. As the years roll on, Manu becomes a San Antonio institution. The floppy hair, the Euro step, the lefty fireworks, it's all part of the Spurs' identity. They win more championships in 2005 and 2007, with Manu playing a huge role. But here's where it gets really interesting. As Manu gets older, You'd think defenders would figure him out, right? How many times can you fall for the same tricks? But nope. Even as he pushes into his late 30s, Manu's still crossing guys up, still finding ways to get that left hand to the basket. In 2014, at the ripe old age of 36, Manu helps the Spurs win yet another championship. It's a sweet revenge against the Miami Heat, who'd beaten them the year before. And there's Manu, still doing Manu things, still relying on that trusty left hand. Now let's break down some numbers, because they're mind-blowing. Over his 16-year NBA career, Manu scored 14,043 points. And remember, he was coming off the bench for most of that time. But here's the kicker. The vast majority of those points came from his left hand. We're talking layups, floaters, three-pointers, free throws, all lefty. It's not just the scoring either. Manu dished out 4,001 assists over his career. You better believe most of those flashy passes came from the left hand too. It's like the guy had a secret weapon, and that weapon was his southpaw. But Manu's impact goes beyond the stats. He inspired a whole generation of players to embrace their uniqueness. Nowadays, you see guys pulling off Euro steps and crazy passes all the time. They might use both hands equally, but they're all following in Manu's footsteps. Or should we say, his left-hand prints. You might be wondering, didn't defenders ever force him right? Oh, they tried. Every scouting report probably said in big, bold letters, make him go right. But Manu had an answer for that too. He'd set up like he was going right, get the defender leaning that way, then, bam! He'd cross back to his left and be off to the races. It wasn't just in the NBA either. Manu led Argentina to an Olympic gold medal in 2004, taking down the mighty Team USA in the process. Imagine that. A guy who primarily uses his left hand, leading his country to the top of the basketball world. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Come on, he must have used his right hand sometimes. And yeah, sure, once in a blue moon, you'd see Manu finish with the right. But it was so rare that when it happened, you'd do a double take. It was like seeing Bigfoot riding a unicycle. Technically possible, but not something you expect to see. Manu's playing style wasn't just effective, it was entertaining as hell. Watching him was like watching a mad scientist at work. You never knew what he was going to pull out of his bag of lefty tricks next. Behind-the-back dribbles, no-look passes, scoop shots that seemed to defy physics, all with that magical left hand. But here's the real kicker. Manu made it look easy. That's the mark of a true master. He'd slither through defenses, flip up some impossible shot, and it would drop through the net like it was the most natural thing in the world. Meanwhile, kids at home are trying to mimic him, probably spraining their wrists in the process. As Manu's career wound down, there was this sense of appreciation around the league. Players, coaches, fans, everyone knew they were watching something special. This wasn't just a good player. This was a one-of-a-kind artist. The basketball court was his canvas, and that left hand was his brush. In his final season, at age 40, Manu was still crossing up guys half his age, still making those crafty lefty passes, still hitting clutch shots when it mattered most. It was like watching a greatest hits album played live, all the classic Manu moves, one last time. When he finally hung up his sneakers in 2018, Manu left behind a legacy that's hard to put into words. 4 NBA championships, 2 All-Star selections, an Olympic gold medal, and he did it all while everyone knew he was going left, but nobody could stop it. So, what can we learn from Manu's story? Maybe it's that being different isn't a weakness. It can be your greatest strength. Manu took his natural left-hand preference and turned it into a weapon that terrorized the NBA for over a decade. He zigged when everyone else zagged, and it made him a legend. Or maybe the lesson is simpler than that. Maybe it's just that if you're really, really good with your left hand, you don't need to worry too much about the right. Why be ambidextrous when you can be ambiguous? I'm guessing, keep them on their toes and then blow right by them, to the left, of course. In the end, Manu Ginobili's career is a testament to the power of embracing who you are. He wasn't the biggest, wasn't the fastest, and he certainly wasn't the most two-handed, but he was 100% Manu all the time. And that was more than enough to make him an NBA legend. So next time you're watching basketball and you see someone pull off a slick lefty move, tip your hat to Manu. He might not have invented the left hand, but he sure as heck perfected it. In a league full of right-hand dominant players, Manu Ginobili proved that sometimes it's all right to not be all right. And there you have it, folks. The story of how a left-hand wizard from Argentina took the NBA by storm, leaving a trail of baffled defenders and amazed fans in his wake. Manu Ginobili, proof that in basketball, as in life, sometimes it's not about having more options, but about mastering the ones you prefer. Remember, Manu had two perfectly good hands. He just decided that one was enough to become a basketball legend. And boy, did he ever prove that point. So next time someone tells you to use both hands equally, just think of Manu. If you have come this far, it means you have enjoyed the video, so don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more.